Hey, everybody doing? That's not a sentence. How is everybody doing? Sounds a lot better. It's me, your host, Tati, Dirty Tati, here. Finally, we are in the home stretch, y'all. The chase for the cup. The last 3 rounds of season 3 of the GT Champions World Cup. I can't believe we're here already. But I guess I can, huh? We got round 8 today. We're at Dragon Trail Gardens. But then next week, we've got round 9 and round 10, and there are still a lot of positions in the standings that need to be sorted out. In fact, I don't even think we can say that Nux has clinched it yet, to be honest. So, we still don't know what might be going on. But of course, Nux won last week, because, that's just what Nux does. So, Nux with a first place finish last week. Scotty came in second and Colin came in third. I believe there was a penalty doled out, to Loudy, which is what knocked him off of the podium. I can check that and confirm with y'all later. Hello, viewers. Danielle Villanueva says, let's go Metropolis. Yes, Metropolis, one of our title sponsors for this season of the World Cup. Of course, you got their name everywhere, logos, all that jazz. Gotta love it. Cheryl, thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome to you as well. Let's see. Full results for last week. Look like that. It's a lot of names to call out, and we have like 7 minutes before the race starts, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. But as we talked about already, Nux in first, Scotty in second, and Colin took third place. Brock and Lily took fourth. Joey Cannoli rounded out the top 5. And at the bottom, we had Twilight, Robosport, and Mitty in the bottom 3. So those 3 with the least amount of points. I believe the red dot indicates that this will be a drop round for them, though. Speaking of which, these are the standings as of last week after round 7. As you can see, Nux pretty far ahead, 112 points versus Loudy's 69 points. Slappus down there in third, but we do have a drop round, so these aren't the final standings, so I'm not even going to really read them. We do have a slight change, especially towards the top of the standings here, as we change to everyone's points after the drop round. Now, if you're not understanding what I mean by drop round, it means that you're allowed to drop, or what? Not even allowed. We do drop the lowest scoring round for any driver up to this point. So just before the last 3 races, that's something that we do. We drop, it could be a round that you missed, maybe you weren't around, or a round where you crashed real bad and had a bad finish. Either way, the drop round may or may not come to your benefit. In this case, for Slappus Mate, for Scotty, rather, it does come to his benefit. He started out in 4th place before the drop round, but after dropping his worst round, he's now in 3rd, just above Slappus. Still tied, honestly, but that helps him out. I do believe also Igorski jumps up ahead of Chevy there for 12th place. Again, a tie score. We have a lot of very close scores, very tie scores, so the last 3 rounds will matter for a lot of drivers here. Of course, the first of those 3 rounds is where we are now, Dragon Trail Gardens. The drivers will be in the Honda NSX GT3 car. Very, very touchy car. Loose, actually, is the way I would describe it. So, tends to oversteer more than it tends to understeer. Of course, this game is kind of has some built-in understeer, which makes cars like this a bit more manageable, but I think it'll still be a handful for some of the drivers. Our starting grid is, as usual, reverse grid, based on the fastest lap from the round before. Now, also, if you were disconnected or did not start, it does affect where you start here. For example, Ozzy starts in 1st place. He didn't actually have the slowest lap, but he did disconnect in the middle of the race, so he starts in 1st place. Robbo would be the one with the actual slowest time, and he's going to start in 2nd, followed by Chevy, Twilight, Black Friday rounds out the top 5. of our starting grid. Then Slappis, Joey, Igorski, Scotty, and Loudy Darkmist coming in 10th. And now we start getting to the really fast drivers, right? Loudy Broccolilli, Colin. I'm reading that backwards. Loudy, Smitty, Colin, Broccolilli, Nux, and then Tattooed Freak with the absolute fastest lap last race. What time is it? 8:26. We got about 4 minutes before things start, which means we do have a good amount of time. Gotta love it. Let's take our first look at the track here. I wonder if we can find somebody actually driving around while I tell you more about this race. Let's see. Oh, that's Igorski sitting in the pits. More pits. Somebody drive. Scotty. Good to see you, Scotty. Scotty driving around there in his WTCC Acura. Or I guess not anymore. Sorry, it's a Honda in this game, right? Yeah, it's an Acura in the US market, but of course it's a Honda pretty much everywhere else. Anyway, Dragon Trail Gardens is an original Gran Turismo track made by Polyphony Digital. It's a pretty fun one. It's one of the layouts of the famous Dragon Trail track. Tires today are the same as every day. You've got racing softs and you've got racing mediums. Drivers must take one of each compound. There is a fuel wear, it's 1x tire wear. Fuel consumption is 2x fuel consumption, and drivers can only take the tires or fuel one time. There's an official pit window. It starts at the 50-minute mark, meaning there are 50 minutes left in the race, and it ends at the 40-minute mark, meaning you need to be out of the pits, past pit out line before the 40-minute mark, or else you will take a penalty for taking fuel and or tires outside of the pit window. Now, these are full damage races, so you're allowed to pit to fix damage, but again, you just can't take any fuel, you can't take any tires. Whew. I think I got that out pretty quickly, right? And watch those penalty burns. Oh God, yes. Yes. Alright, y'all. I saw Igorski put up a 5-minute message, maybe 5 minutes ago or 4 minutes ago. So we're getting pretty close to starting. Let's take another look at those standings after the drop, because I really want to take a look and see who's close and who's not close. Now, let me make sure. This is after drop standings. I had to be sure. Nux, again, just isn't that far away from Loudy. 94 points versus Loudy 64. So it's less than a 30-point spread, and we have 3 races left. So technically, Loudy could catch Nux. Now, Nux would have to have some really bad races or maybe some disconnects, but it's not unheard of here. So I would still keep an eye on that battle for first. But of course, the battle for second is even closer. Scotty is 9 points away from Loudy, and Slappis is as well. Both of them are tied. Broccolilli, of course, isn't too much further behind with 52 points. And so I would really put all of these drivers in the battle for second, maybe even Joey Cannoli at 47 points. But there's another cluster of close point counts with Joey, Colin, Mazda, Tattoo Freak, and Ozzy all in the 40s. We won't see any more points from Mazda as he's no longer part of the series, but that is where he's standing. Those are the points that he has earned so far. And below them, another group that's pretty close. In fact, Black Friday isn't far from Ozzy, about 4 points back. Then Igorski and Chevy are also in the running for that, for getting into the top 10. Twilight and Robbo are pretty far out, so I don't know that they'll increase that much. But again, 3 races, 3 opportunities at a pretty decent amount of points. So don't sleep, basically, is what that means. Don't ever sleep. Alright, let me check in on the chat, make sure everything's good there. In fact, stream viewers, help me out here. My layout's a little bit different right now. As I had to use my 4K monitor to try out Gran Turismo 7, and so it's changed where things are. My mic is a little further away. Tell me, do I sound okay in comparison to the sound, or in comparison to the game, rather, or do I need to put my volume up? Or maybe put the game volume down? Whatever you think I need, let me know. Meanwhile, let's check with the GTC-2 chat. Okay, no news really. Ah, I got a new graphic from Presidio Dog. Man, if you haven't watched the D1 lobby, Presidio Dog, aka Chris, is who commentates on that lobby. But he does way more than that. I mean, basically, GT Champions is his baby. This whole league, really, and all of these beautiful graphics that we have all over the stream, all the professionalism is really due to a standard that he has set, and it makes it a lot of fun to stream. It's work, of course, but definitely worth it, because I think, as you guys can see, I think our streams are some of the best in this series as far as private leagues go. So he just sent me a new little picture, and I'm gonna just pop that right on into my streaming software here. Shout out to OBS. And look, I can pull up standings while we're in the main scene now. This is the main scene we'll be in when we watch the race, and I can pull up the top 10 situation. Isn't that cute? Of course it's cute. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you. Let me check in chat to see another chat. So maybe if I'm missing something. Are we waiting on somebody? Oh, sorry. He was waiting on me to say I was ready. Every time. I forget every time. Doing great. Alright, so then, yes, any minute now, the race will actually be starting, and that is now. Gorski is definitely waiting on me. That's funny. He's gonna make fun of me. Alright, no complaints about my sound from you guys, so I'm going to assume it's good, and I'm going to trust you all. I trust your silence to be approval. It's a smart strategy, right? Alright. Lights are up. Are we green? We are green, green, green. Let's make sure no one has gotten stuck here. Nope, everyone is off and away. Fantastic start for everyone. Chevy leading into turn one. He's got the inside for that big, long turn one sweeper. It's kind of a fun track. It's a little tight track, but it's actually pretty technical. I'd say it's more technical than the original Dragon Trail. So everyone heads to this first chicane, which tends to be chaos, but everyone's done pretty well to get through it, it looks like. Nux still in 10th place. You gotta keep an eye on him. I mean, Nux will go from very last to like within the top 5 in half a lap. So you gotta keep an eye on this guy. Side by side for Rabo and Agorski. Agorski holding on to third there in the hairpin. Oh, that hairpin is so tough. I kind of love it. I kind of love it, but it's a really hard, hard corner. Sorry. Get my view correct here. Man, this thing looks great. I'm on my new PlayStation 5, and the frame rate, it's butter. It's butter. This is fantastic. Of course, everyone's liveries look fantastic as well. It's another standard set, at least in part by Chris. You know, we've got livery requirements, but besides the requirements, it's kind of tradition to make sure your livery is the best it can be. You know. But you do have to carry our sponsors on there. If you can look on the side of some of these cars, you've got Hypre, you've got Metropolis, you've got Detailing Group DG, you've got Pride of the Dragon on the side, and of course GT Champions and RWB Racing there as well. We race as one on the back of Tattoo Freak's wing there. Tattoo Freak is one to watch. He's been trying to climb up the order and having some pretty good races lately. Every now and then has an issue, but most of the time seems to work out for him. Uh-oh, and that's Loudy off track just a little bit. I don't think it was that bad. I think maybe just hit the sausage curb and got disturbed. Let's see. How did that happen? There he is. Yep, hit that sausage curb, and that threw the back end out from around him. That's the thing about these mid-engine cars, especially the ones that are a bit loose and twitchy. They don't like it if you eat too much of a curb. They definitely don't cooperate if you go run over a sausage curb the wrong way. So, Loudy learning a valuable lesson there. Though I say the sausage at that chicane is particularly heinous. It's bad. It's bad. It's a good passing point, though. Speaking of which, we are coming up to one now. The last couple of corners of the track, 2 90-degree left turns. Scotty navigating them both. He has no one around him, though. But you see Tattoo Freak on Joey Cannoli. Let's get out of spectator mode and go back into it so we can change camera angles, and maybe we can watch a lap with Igorski. We are on board. Actually, let's go be on his hood. This is Igorski. That was turn one sweeper. This is the chicane that I was talking about here. Look at that sausage curb on the inside there. And then you've got another one coming up right here. You don't want to run over those. They're terrible. But that's the point. Don't want to cheat the chicane. Down this very long straight. This is the longest straight in the lap, I think. And then hard on the brakes for a left-handed hairpin. Don't want to miss your braking here. You're going to have people diving in, trying to make a pass. You can always look for an undercut and over and under, but what you want is to be on the right side of the track for this series of S's here. There's really only one fast line through here, even through these corners. This left-hander, another spot where people will try to make a pass, but it's a little tricky. But it can be done. Now into the most distinctive feature of this track, this quadruple 90-degree right, not even 90, sorry, but this quadruple right. You do want to apex every last one of these and start picking up speed towards the end of it. I think that's the hardest part, is figuring out where to get on the throttle for it, and then back down to the double left that I talked about at the end of it. 1 90-degree and 2 90-degree, another fantastic spot for trying to pass, and then you're back on the front straight for the end of the lap. And maybe the front straight is longer than the back straight. They're pretty even. But anyway, man, it looks like a little bit tough to pass, but we've got Nux up in the 7th. Ooh, Joey Cannoli into the pits with damage. Must have, yeah, got some damage on the front bumper for him there. Ooh, Ozzy and Igorski, sorry, and Chevy getting into it there. Ozzy just nosing ahead of Chevy, but of course Chevy's got the inside for the hairpin. Ozzy's going to brake early and look for the undercut here, but I think Chevy slowed down enough to hold on to it. Yup, he's going to park it right in the apex and defend that corner real well. Good job to Chevy. Make sure he's got the line for the S's coming up. And then Ozzy's going to have to wait and be a little bit patient to try to catch him out again here. Igorski also still in the top 3, just hanging on to these 2 drivers. He's got 3 seconds to the car behind him. That's Robbo. He's racing all alone in 4th right now. Tattoo Freak is on the way, though. Tattoo, Scotty, and Nux. All 3 of these, no strangers to fighting for podium position. Scotty, of course, following very closely behind Nux in the championship. Nux is the leader, though, and you see him tucked in up underneath Scotty's wing. Nux likes to wait a little bit and try to save fuel, and also works pretty hard just to get himself up to the front with the faster drivers before he starts making passes. Instead of fighting them, he works with them to cut through the pack. He's made it up 3 positions from 10th to 8th, or to 7th. Probably feeling pretty good that it's a smaller lobby. We normally have 15 out of 15, but of course, Gran Turismo 7 has come out. You're going to have some people who made the jump to the new game. 10 out of 10, or 10 out of 15 ain't too bad, though, but that's 5 less cars that Nux has to get through. Got Scotty just behind Tattoo. Let's see if Scotty tries to make a move in the hairpin here. Nope. He brakes a little bit early, respectfully, you know. as he had slipstream. Wants to make sure he doesn't run into the back of Tattoo, of course. And they'll continue for another lap around. Where's Loudy? There he is, but he's kind of far from Nux. 1.6 seconds. We saw last week Loudy with it's pretty bad luck, unfortunately. Just trying to follow Nux through to the front of that race. Ended up getting beat up a bit. This race, he probably wants to stay a little bit closer to Nux, maybe see if he can get up to the front with him. Keep on fighting for that podium. Of course, his preference would be that Nux has to follow him by many cars. So Ozzy goes purple on lap 6, so the fastest lap so far. He's got a 32.3 as he's following behind Chevy here, and I wonder if he's going to try to make a move again on Chevy, or if he's going to stay where he's at. Of course, when he was trying to make a move, Gorski was right there on him. Chevy kind of messes up the chicane, but manages to hold on to the position. Ozzy flashing those lights at him, letting move out of the way, messing up. Gorski, absolutely not. Is he going to defend the hairpin? He doesn't look to, but Ozzy also doesn't look to dive. I thought he had a peek on the inside there, but didn't actually dive in it. Robbo now has company. He was racing alone in 4th place, but like I said, Tattoo is coming with Nux and Loudy a little bit behind them, so Tattoo is going to be looking to get around Robbo as soon as he can here. These cars look fantastic all on the track together. It is one of the better looking GT3s for sure, in real life and in the game. Ooh, that is Robbo out wide in one of the last of the quad corners. I wonder if he's going to pick up a penalty. Doesn't look like it, but definitely picks up some dirty tires, so he's going to want to be careful on braking here. In fact, yes, Ozzy gets a nose in on him. I said these left-handers are a good passing opportunity. He tried, couldn't get there, but he's now got a nice run behind him down this back straight, and I expect that he's going to make a move somewhere in turn 1, maybe even in the chicane. Let's see. Takes a tighter line, of course. Turn 1 is hard to follow someone in. You've got to dive in sooner and go a little bit slower. You got to be later on the throttle because that dirty air is definitely going to catch you out in that long sweeper there. So Robbo may be saved by the fact that that is the nature of turn 1. That Tattoo doesn't have much of a choice but to go slower than him unless he made a move beforehand. Nux. Looking maybe a little bit impatient. It looks like he's sizing up the option of making a pass on Tattoo here. So Tattoo maybe wants to see what he can do against Robbo. Behind the 3 of these drivers, Tattoo, Nux, and Loudy, is Scotty. He's not too far away, 2 seconds away from Loudy. They continue to get slowed down by Robbo. Loudy might even be in the running here. Scotty, rather. You see Scotty is carrying some damage, though. Front left and front bumper. So I wonder if he's going to pit next lap. We'll see. For now, let's get back onto Tattoo's bumper. See if he tries something in these double left again. This time not quite close enough, but if he can get a good run, a better run than Robbo out of it, maybe he can make something happen in turn 1. He's got good slipstream this time around, and yeah, he might be able to dive in if he wants to before they get to braking, and he does. So Tattoo looks to hold the inside line. Robbo having trouble on the outside, and that's going to let Tattoo get right alongside him. Are they going to go too wide in the chicane here? Yes, they are. Robbo not letting it go, but Tattoo, of course, with the better line, and Robbo gets hip-checked out off the track there. But I think that was more of a matter of him maybe not holding as tight a line as he should have on the other side of the chicane here. Let's do chase cam and see what we can see. Yep, he's got the inside, and yeah, just not that tight. And honestly, I think he got on the throttle a bit soon as well. So probably more of a racing incident than anything else. But Rabo knocked out of 4th place and down to 8th as Tattoo makes his way up to 4th. Nux and Loudy and Scotty, of course, all follow through. And Rabo is now behind all of those drivers by 3 seconds. So big loss for Rabo there. Back in the back, we still got Slappus in 9th. Joey in 10th place. Up front, Chevy still leads Ozzy. So Ozzy not able to get past Chevy just yet. He's got such a good cushion to Gorski. I can imagine that he might choose to just chill for now. Though behind Gorski, he's got some fast drivers coming. Like I said, Tattoo has made his way past 4th. He's got 5 seconds to Gorski, so 5 seconds of clean air. We probably won't get any challenges from Nux here, but we'll see. But that's 5 seconds of just clean air that he can use to catch up to Gorski and maybe start making a run for a podium position here. We got an hour and 17 minutes remaining, so a lot of racing. And we haven't even been here for 15 minutes yet. It's got plenty of time to get up there. Nux, Loudy, all of them. But anything can happen. Now's the time to save fuel. Now's the time to save tires, even. And see where you are as you get closer to the pit window. Ozzy goes fastest in Sector 2, it looks like. So possibly looking at another fastest lap. But so far he's got a 32.7 that we saw him set a few laps ago. Sorry, 32.3, my fault. Let's see what he does as he comes towards the end of this lap. Last 2 corners. Oh, he goes out wide, and that's probably going to hurt his run down to the finish line. Or it could help if he was able to get enough grip to get on that throttle sooner. He had a little bit more room starting back there, and he does still go purple by 0.055. So now he has the 32.322. And Gorski losing time to the top 2. He's 4.4 seconds back now. And Tattoo even closer. It's 4 seconds is the gap between Tattoo and Gorski. Tattoo, of course, leading a brigade to him. Scotty still hasn't caught up to these guys. Of course, they all stopped being held up by Rabo a while ago, but Scotty looks like he's fallen back a bit. I think the gap to Loudy was a little bit smaller than 2.5 seconds it is now. Rabo, of course, racing in no man's land. He's got 9 seconds to Slappus behind him, so Slappus and Joey running very far behind. I know Joey had to pit. We saw him pit for damage. I wonder if Slappus had something similar happen. Because they're pretty far behind for not being 15 minutes into the race yet. Ozzy looks to be closer to Chevy again. Is he going to make something happen here? Not a pass, but it looks like he was angling to try and get a better run out of the last corner, which sometimes that's really all you can wish for. Is let me see if I can get a better run out of there. Make an attempt at something by turn 1. He does it. Braked early to concede it to Chevy. And I think they're going to keep on going for a bit together here, but I'll stay there because I think that's the most important battle, and we are coming up on that hairpin, which again, fantastic place to pass if you know what you're doing. A little tough to defend it too, you know. It's easy to get an undercut here, and it's easy to go around the outside if you absolutely need to. If somebody is just, you know, really just stalling in the apex, if you know they're going to do that, you can go around the outside too. It's a little bit tougher, but not unheard of. So that hairpin, kind of hard to follow, kind of hard to defend, all of that. Ozzy, though, loses 1.3 seconds to Chevy. Not really sure how. I wasn't watching his car specifically, so he must have made a mistake somewhere. Because now he's going to have to catch back up to Chevy. That battle is on pause. Meanwhile, Tattoo and Nux in partnership. Catching up to Gorski is 2.5 seconds now is that gap. 7.5 to Chevy. Keep that gap in mind as well, because as they are trying to close on Gorski, they're probably going to be watching the clock to see if they're closing on first place as well. The minute they start losing the first place, I bet you Nux will try to make that pass against Tattoo. But so far, seems to be okay. Tattoo Freak with a little bit of a bad run out of the last corner, and yep, there's Nux on the inside of turn 1. Doesn't make the pass. I think he just recognized that he was a lot closer, maybe about to hit. So trying to avoid unnecessary contact, but of course trying to avoid losing time to Chevy up front, which they did just lose about a second to Chevy between the last corner and the first corner. And yep, Nux is going to stop trying to follow through and is going to go ahead and take the lead so they don't lose any more time. It's Nux down the inside in the hairpin over Tattoo. Tattoo looks not to lose the position to Loudy and manages to tuck in behind Nux. And now we have a new leader for this mid-pack train. Not really the mid-pack, just the back of the front. And I expect them to start catching to Gorski and Chevy even quicker now, assuming they can hang on to Nux. That's really going to be the key, right? Is can we follow Nux and hang on to his slipstream? As you see, Tattooed and Loudy falling behind a little bit in the quad right. It's hard to follow there. Again, it's almost like a big sweeper. So if you are in someone's dirty air, it's hard to get there. But of course, you get this long straight that allows Tattoo to catch right back up and get right back into Nux's slipstream here for the start-finish straight. It's a little bit of give and take. You know, when you're following closely and cooperating with people, especially in cars like this that are dependent on aerodynamics, you're going to lose time to the car ahead of you in twisty stuff, unless they just do a bad job of running through there. Phenomenal job. But then you'll tend to gain that time right back in the straights as they cut a hole in the air for you and let you go a little bit faster. So, it's racy behind Nux though. Tattoo and Loudy going at it. Loudy now on the inside for the hairpin, a little bit ahead of Tattoo's got a nose up, more than a nose really. Tattoo looking for the undercut here. Is Loudy going to be able to hang on to it? Tattoo with a bump, and he spins him. He spun him, or almost spun him. It's just a little bit of contact there, and Loudy flashes his lights like, hey, not okay. Let's replay that. I was going to replay the first thing, but I'd rather replay this. We are on Tattoo's bumper, and here's Loudy, parks it in the apex, and Tattoo with a bump there, and Loudy almost goes around. And I do wonder if maybe Tattoo wasn't happy with something that Loudy did coming out of the chicane, because we saw they were bumping back there, and Tattoo squeezed Loudy very tightly to the inside of the straight leading up to the hairpin. For a moment, you saw Loudy with two wheels in the grass, almost like Tattoo felt like something unfair had happened there. Wish we could have replayed that as well, but unfortunately we can't. Here's Loudy going to try to make another move on him here in turn 1. Now, all this fighting for no reason has caused them to lose Nux's tailwind. So Nux is 3.8 seconds ahead of them now, and so just some there's choices you have to make when racing, right? And racecraft is something that I think is very important. Now, I don't know if maybe it was all an accident, but you have to know when to fight and you have to know when to cooperate. And I think as soon as Nux made that pass on Tattoo, it seems like maybe Loudy was desperate to follow through as well. And instead of trying to work with Tattoo, was trying to work against them. Of course, I don't know for a fact if that's what happened. I hope that one or both of these drivers is on the podium at the end of the race so we can ask them in the interview. But one thing that is quite obvious is that they've lost the bigger picture, regardless of the battle between the two of them. Because Nux is now 4.2 seconds up the road. Chevy's 12 seconds up the road, whereas it was an 8-second gap just 2 laps ago. So these two, Tattoo and Loudy, are going to want to maybe relax a bit, start working together again, because Nux is not easy to catch. Now, Nux is right up on Gorski here. So I expect to see a pass for third, or an attempt at a pass for third, to happen pretty soon, as we know Nux is not looking to lose any more time to Chevy. It's still an 8-second gap to Chevy for him. So he's going to be looking to speed that up and not let the gap get too big. And that's pretty appalling driving. Apex, intentional bumps down the straight, bump run at hairpin. Not good enough. We will let these two drivers tell the story of what happened there. It was a bit aggressive, absolutely. Loudy alongside for the hairpin. He's going to try the outside here. I don't think he's going for an undercut. Actually, he is. My bad. Sorry, the camera angle's a bit weird, and he does get a nose above, ahead of Tattooed Freak, and he's gonna get the position before the S's to get back on the racing line there. Good job. Better job than my talking, but these two racing very, very closely in the opening minutes of the round. Of course, got an hour and 6 minutes left, so we're still in the first half hour of the race here. So yeah, it's a bit early to be running and gunning and bumping. You can see just ahead there that Nux has gotten past the Gorski in that gray car. But we're paying attention to Loudy and Tattoo Freak. It looks like touching on my end there. I'm gonna replay the last two corners unless something happens here. Or in the chicane. But wow, yeah, Tattoo got squeezed to the inside there. Now he's too far to make a move. So let's see what happened as these two drivers approached the double left-hander at the end. We are following on Tattoo's rear wing here. Gets inside of Loudy, a little bit of a bump there. Loudy stays alongside him on the outside, and I think Tattoo actually let him keep that position. I think he recognized that he did bump him, because Tattoo could have got on the throttle a bit sooner to come out of that, but he lets Loudy get back on him around the outside. And that, I wouldn't even say is Loudy's fault. I think Tattoo just really desperate to be on the inside there, but he didn't have the line, didn't have the overlap. Now he's got to catch back up to Loudy. Meanwhile, Nux has passed Gorski and put 2.5 seconds on him. So now he's on a tear to Ozzy and Chevy. The gap to Ozzy, 7.5 seconds. The gap to Chevy, 7.8. So Nux looking to catch up to those two, who are still at it, by the way. Now, this little battle was a little friendlier than the one between Tattoo and Loudy. And sometimes it didn't even look like a battle. It looks like Ozzy might even still just be trying to save fuel behind Chevy, but surely he has noticed that Nux is now the next car back, and I don't know what just happened there. Let's see if we can catch that from a better angle. Just do chase cam. I think Ozzy might have got alongside Chevy a little bit there. Oh yeah, and then just hits the sausage curve, and that puts him into Chevy and knocks Chevy a little bit loose. They leaned on each other. But neither one too much worse for the wear. That does bring Nux closer, though. Instead of it being a 7.9 second gap to the front, now Nux is 6.2 from Chevy and 5.5 from Ozzy. So the more bumping you have, the more, you know, that's an official racing term. The more you have, the slower you go. And when you have a predator on the track, predator named Nux, they're going to take advantage. Scotty races alone, has put Robbo in the dust. Of course, we saw Robbo fall down to 8th several laps ago. Lost 4 positions all at once there. But Scotty not close to Tattoo and Loudy, who now have a little bit of room between the two of them. And hopefully we'll get quicker again and start catching the front again. Slap is still races alone in 9th, and Joey is now 24 seconds behind Slappist. So Joey falling ever more behind in this race. He's 51.7 seconds behind Ozzy. Ozzy I guess Ozzy got the pass, and we missed it. My bad, y'all. Is Chevy about to try to get back on him in the hairpin here? Yes, he is. A little bit of a dive. You see Ozzy opt to turn in late because of Chevy's dive there, but pass made, sort of. Ozzy with a nose into Chevy's fender, and he's got the better line for the first two, but now, ooh, Chevy has to concede that. I think a little bit of a touch between them there. You can't really go too wide there. Oh, I don't even know what to replay. I'm just press the button. I'm just gonna press the button. Ozzy's pass on Chevy, a little bit of a bump, actually. Kind of a bumper run in the chicane, and then, of course, Chevy looks to get back on him in the hairpin. I hope this replay is long enough for us to see this move here. Yep. Dives to the inside there, and he's able to hold on the apex, but of course Ozzy got a better run, as we saw, out of there, and then they go side by side through here, and here's where Chevy probably should have conceded and opts not to, and yeah, bumps Ozzy there, loses a bit of time. I'm glad we were able to see all of that. That whole sequence of events was fun. Ooh, what just happened to Ozzy? Well, alright, we got a new replay to watch. Ooh, Ozzy just not really in control of things right now. Sliding around. Let's see what just happened to him. He's looking to break the toe with Chevy behind him down the front straight here, and then he gets to turn one. Oh, he's a little wide in turn one. Yeah, he never quite makes the apex. He has to slow way down. I wonder why he's not able to turn. That looks like more than just, you know, missing and breaking. Almost like he's having a technical difficulty there. Here comes Nux, even, to try and capitalize on that. He's not able to make the pass, as we see. Nux is still in third place, but whatever is going on between Ozzy and Chevy has now brought them real competition sooner than they anticipated, I'm sure, in the form of Nux. Loudy and Tattoo still together. Tattoo a little bit closer to Loudy now. And then, of course, behind them, Igorski behind them. Not sure what happened to Igorski, but he's fallen down to 6th place. He was in 4th. In fact, these two needed to catch up to him, so unfortunate move for Igorski down the order there. Scotty, Robbo, Slappis, Joey Cannoli still all looking the same. Up front, Chevy now with a lot of breathing room, with no Ozzy behind him anymore. 1.3 seconds back, as Ozzy was having some issues at the start of last lap. The start of last lap. Hopefully he can get it a bit together here, because, like I said, Nux is back there, and maybe that's what kind of kicked all of this off, is seeing Nux get up to 3rd place, and Ozzy maybe being a bit desperate to put a car between himself and Nux, and that just ended up bringing the trouble sooner. Racecraft friends, Ando, how can you do a bump and run, then not redress? Why is Apex doing bumper runs? Is this a daily? Ando not liking the standards in the room right now, and I'd have to agree. It's a lot of paint rubbing going on very early in a race, and as you've seen, everybody who's gotten into it has lost time to somebody because of it. It's really never worth it. But hey, it's racing. We're at the end of the championship. Blood's up. You're bound to see people make some mistakes or maybe make some decisions that aren't the best. We're back with Tattooed Freak, who is now right up under Loudy's wing again. He is dead in the slipstream and gaining. Nux still hasn't been able to get back on Ozzy's bumper. 0.9 seconds away. These two, of course, fairly quick. Chevy doing a great job hanging on to 1st place. Jumped to 1st at the start of the race. I think Ozzy had pole, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look at that. Yep, Ozzy had pole, Robbo was in 2nd, and Chevy was in 3rd. But Chevy got a real good jump to get up to third place within the first lap, within the first lap. So Chevy doing a great job there, and I accidentally turned on the wrong thing instead of turning off the thing. There we go. I know how to do this. I've commentated before. But yeah, this must be a good track for Chevy, because he is held on to that position for the last 30 minutes. We're at 57 minutes left, so 7 minutes until the pit window opens. And that's when drivers can take fuel, they can change tires, between 50 minutes and 40 minutes. We might even see some shuffling in the order, just because some people have saved fuel better than others, and we've got a couple of cars that are pretty close to one another, so passes made in the pits are absolutely possible. If you need to take less fuel than your neighbor, and they jumped in the pits half a second before you did, and you need, you know, 3/4 of a second less fuel, then you're going to get that position. You're going to get out of the pits a bit quicker. Looking at Nux, he still hasn't caught up to Ozzy, but I mean, it's not for lack of speed, right? He's got the fastest lap. He took that from Ozzy, in fact. It's 31.7. But I have to wonder if Nux isn't maybe saving a little bit of fuel. I would think that he tried to do it in the slipstream of Ozzy, but maybe he just actually hasn't been able to catch up and get that slip, or maybe he's opting to stay back from those two drivers. They haven't always been so cooperative. Maybe he doesn't want to get swept up into something. Either way, I'm sure Nux is plotting. He's always plotting. You just gotta try to get into his mind and see what he's doing. Meanwhile, Loudy, Tattoo, is it back right as hot as it was? It might be. Tattoo looking for an undercut into the double left. He does kind of get to the inside of Loudy there. They are side by side. He's got a nose up on Loudy's fender. He's not going to have any slipstream down the front straight, but he's got more speed. He just noses ahead of him, and he's going to have the inside for turn one. Loudy ghosted, because he was typing to Tattoo, asking him, "Are you okay?" So Loudy maybe feeling a bit slighted by Tattoo lately. Can't say that I can blame him. Tattoo's kind of seeing the red mist here. They're 5.3 seconds behind Nux, 7 seconds behind Chevy. As we know, Chevy's been severely slowed down by a couple of moments with Ozzy. But if I'm Loudy, I just let Tattoo have this at this point, and just stop fighting. Just start working on getting closer. We're getting into the pit window, so maybe if you've saved a bit more fuel than Tattoo, you try to just make the jump in the pits, and hopefully you have some breathing room between the two of you. In fact, we're getting so close, I can take the banner away. We can take a look at everyone's fuel situation. We'll start at the top with Chevy sitting on a little less than a quarter tank of fuel. It's got racing mediums on. Everyone is on the racing mediums, by the way. Ozzy in second place has a little more fuel than Chevy, and he's less than a second away. Less than a second back, so he might jump Chevy in the pits unless he overfuels or Chevy underfuels, which is also a possibility. We've seen people miscalculate their fuel or take risks with it. It's something that is definitely worth trying sometimes. Nux. Whoa! Nux with a ton of fuel. He did a lot of saving at the start of the stint, and he's saving now. He definitely is, because he's falling to Ozzy by 1.3 seconds now, whereas it was about a second away the last time we checked. But I think he's feeling confident in his ability to make a jump in the pits due to the amount of fuel he's got in that car, and I think I agree. Tattoo, meanwhile, also on the mediums, got a quarter tank of gas now. Loudy behind him, also with a quarter tank of gas, so probably not going to see a jump there. Everyone's tires look pretty good. The mediums not suffering much at all, and I don't think the softs will do too bad either. Just looking, because the mediums are barely worn, you know. Igorski usually does a great job saving fuel, and he's done a decent. He's done okay. He's got a little over a quarter tank here. Scotty, a little over a quarter tank. He's been carrying that damage on the front and front left all, not all stint long, but for a very long time in the stint. I remember commenting on it. Bravo, little over a quarter tank as well. Great looking mediums. Slappus with a good amount, probably the second most amount of fuel besides Nux. And then Joey Cannoli in the back with a little over a quarter tank as well. So far, Nux has saved a massive amount of fuel. Chevy trying to keep Ozzy out of his slipstream here. But we're entering the last few laps before drivers start diving in for the pits. To take fuel, to take tires, to take a breather. Whew. Might need to introduce an intermission in some of these races. I'm tired. All I'm doing is commentating. Ooh, a little twitchy for Chevy coming out of the chicane. He's okay though. He holds on to it. Loses a little bit of time to Ozzy. Ozzy taking you know, hundredths of a second chunks out of him. Not enough to catch up to him in the hairpin, but enough to catch him a bit. So Chevy gonna want to be careful there. Nux is back up on them now, 0.9 away for Nux. Sorry, 0.7 behind Ozzy for Nux. And Nux usually stays out kind of late in the pit window, so he may wait these two out and inherit first and try to get some clean laps while everyone pits. But I don't remember Ozzy's pitting habit. I feel like Chevy tends to pit a little bit early, though he might change his mind now that he's leading the race coming into the pit window. I think this is the first time in the season that he's been leading the race as he comes into pit window. Very interested to see what the strategies will be. 1 minute left before pits open up. Loudy is backed off a tattoo, back there by a second. Maybe tired of the back and forth. Gorski races alone. That's everyone behind him. Everyone with pretty large gaps in the car before and behind. As you get to the back of the pack, Gorski and back, so 6th place and back. All racing solo. All hot lapping. That might all change with the pits though. We'll see. Staying close to Ozzy, you can see he is short shifting that Acura, especially now that he's got a slipstream. So Nux still saving fuel in that Honda. Every drop counts. Ozzy seems to have relaxed around Chevy and vice versa now that he realizes Nux probably isn't going to make a move just yet. And even if he does, so what? We're coming into the pit window. Ozzy to the inside of Chevy for the hairpin. Nux keeping neutral, trying to figure out where he fits in the puzzle here. Ozzy brakes very early to make sure he makes that hairpin and doesn't overrun it. He keeps the inside with Chevy alongside him now. We've seen this before between these two. Does Chevy concede the corner this time? No, he gets there first actually. Overruns it by a little bit, but he will have the inside for the corner after that, and he gets to keep first place. So nice little sequence there between these two drivers, and Nux opting not to take part, just kind of stood back and enjoyed the show. This time Chevy gets to this corner quicker than Ozzy. Ozzy looked for a cutback there, looks for another one here, and he's not going to get it. Chevy doing a good job to hold his line. now the double left, they're still going at it, not opting to pit. We're 48 minutes into the race, so they could pit here, but Ozzy doesn't want to, neither does Chevy, so they're going to go side by side into turn 1. Ozzy dives in there, goes out wide though, and is that going to let Chevy catch to him? Not really. Doesn't let Chevy catch him out, but I would imagine that next lap, Nux, Chevy, Ozzy, one of these three is going to choose to pit, because at this point now, all three of you are just going slow. So somebody maybe make a pit stop, choose to undercut. In fact, Chevy has to pit. Ozzy's good to go. We know Nux is good to go. Nux probably feeling a bit impatient here, because he's got fuel to keep on going in the pit window, but he's being slowed down by these two fighting. And you saw him try to get alongside Chevy there to see if he could make a pass into second place and get out of this traffic, but that didn't work out. But you definitely want as quick of an in-lap as you can get, or a series of in-laps, or a series of laps before you pit. Everyone behind is going to catch up. They're going to catch up. Like I said, Chevy's definitely going to pit this time around, so Nux will get around him. I wonder what Ozzy's going to do. Ozzy's not diving in. Chevy dives in. Nux dives in behind him. So Nux actually does the early thing and maybe didn't realize that Chevy was going to be low on fuel and have to dive anyway. But Nux could have had a bit more clean air. Though, you know, he's going to jump out before Chevy does for sure. He's got more fuel saved in that car. 27% versus Chevy's 3%. So he should jump out earlier than him. Loudy and Scotty also pit with these two. So 4 cars in the pits now. They are the first to come in and take their soft tires. Nux is already out, and Chevy is still in the pit. So yes, Nux takes less than 100%. Chevy took 100% fuel. Takes a full tank of fuel. So he took even more time in there. Tattooed. Did Tattooed pit? Tattooed's already pitted. Chevy comes out in front of him. And so, unfortunately, Tattoo in traffic and Loudy in traffic with both of them. Neither one of these two drivers able to get away from anybody in the pit stops. Nux, however, with 14.8 seconds of clean air in front of him. Igorski's in second, but Nux can use this opportunity here to really, really run with it. Igorski and Ozzy both owe pit stops. Ozzy is going to pit this time around. I think he's coming to the double left now. Where's Nux? Nux is headed to the quad right. Is Nux going to come out ahead of Ozzy? We will see. Ozzy not in his pit stall just yet. Where's Nux? There he is. He's in the pit stall now. Nux is coming up towards that double left here. Now, Nux, of course, has to take that long start-finish straight before he's going to pass Ozzy, but I get the feeling that it's going to be done because Nux just had such a short pit stop compared to what Ozzy's going to have. Here's Nux crossing the start-finish, and yeah, Ozzy's still in his stall. Ozzy's still in the pit. He's just now coming out. So Ozzy loses first place to Nux by over 4 seconds. It's still growing. So Nux definitely made that pass in the pits as expected. 2 positions in the pits. Both Chevy and Ozzy passed in the pits. Igorski is ahead of him and owes a pit stop. Igorski coming out of the hairpin. He looked a bit slow there, though. Did something happen? Here comes braking for the hairpin. Oh yeah, almost lost it. Just a lot of curb. Yep. Almost lost it. Hangs on to it though, but now he's 10 seconds in front of Nux, and that's not going to be enough. He's going to jump into the pits, and it's definitely going to take him longer than 10.6 seconds to get out of there. So Nux effectively getting into first place by saving fuel in the start of the stint and cooperating and working together with people instead of fighting, and that has put him to the front of this race. We have seen the same story play out every single race this season, save one. I think there was one race he didn't get first place. I can't remember the round, but it happened. Pardon me. Chevy is now leading Tattoo and Loudy. Now we know Chevy's not slow around here. He held on to first place up until the pit stop. But Tattoo and Loudy definitely not slow. Both are behind him. I wonder if they've put whatever was happening between them to rest. Hopefully, or else Chevy will have a chance to run away from them here. Joey Cannoli pits. We're at 42.5 minutes left in the race, so 2.5 minutes left to get your pit stops done. And I think, he's definitely going to have enough time. Just want to see if anyone else owes a stop. Igorski still has to stop. He's going through the hairpin again here. So Igorski might be pushing it, but I think he's going to make it as well. Other than those two, everyone else has pitted. Whoa, we've got a four-way situation in the hairpin, and I want to stay with these four. Make sure we don't miss anything good. They get in single file before the S's, probably the smartest thing to do there. And let's see how they ended up all together into the hairpin, though. Come out of the chicane with Chevy right up on Hypnotic, leading Hypnotic. Hypnotic to the inside of the corner there, alongside Tattooed Freak. And so Ozzy tries to hold that inside line. That brings Loudy into the mix as well, looking to see if he can get past him. That's how that happens. So clean racing, actually, by all of them, but just literally a cluster of race cars here. Igorski is in the pits. Who else was it that owed a pit stop? Was it Joey? Joey pitted. And then it was Igorski who was left, right? He's got 1 minute, so he's going to make it. No problem. Lots of fuel save, 33%. Yeah, he's going to cross the line out now. And that is the end of it. Everyone has now pitted, taken their tires. Let's take a look at how the positions have changed today. Let's just see what we've got. So I'll put the starting grid up on the right. You can compare that to what we've got here. Obviously, the biggest change is Nux flipping position from second to last to first place. Actually, he started in 10th from what I recall. Tattoo made it right on up to second. Fighting his way through this pack here. Actually got ahead of Chevy. Where is Chevy? He's pretty far behind these three. Let me see if I can catch what happened though. Uh-oh. Nope, he's already far behind here, so we don't get to see it. But Chevy losing his position at the head of that pack. So now Ozzy leads behind Tattooed Freak for third place. He's got Loudy, Dark Mist all over him, trying to get that last podium position. For now at least, and not let Tattooed run away with it, of course. Chevy in 5th, Scotty in 6th, Igorski in 7th place now, so a little bit further back from where he was. No, actually well, the positions are a bit different from the starting grid, because we actually had less starting than what's on the grid. It's Slapis, Robbo ending up towards the back here. Slap is also being towards the back, and Joey Cannoli, who started in 7th place in his very last place now. And that's our grid order as it stands in comparison to the starting order. Nux leads by 11.7 seconds. And quite frankly, I don't expect that to get much smaller in the next 40 minutes of racing here as we come towards the end of this race. Man, last 3 races in the season, we're already coming to the end of the first of those. Howdy, how are you? Excuse me, I'm going to take a sip of water because obviously my voice doesn't like something. Looks like Ozzy got back ahead of Tattoo Freak while we were away. Man, I think this is the battle to watch for sure. We know Tattoo can't lose Loudy and Loudy can't lose Tattoo. We haven't seen them racing with Ozzy yet. But Ozzy probably a similar pace. And here's Tattoo already looking to make a move on Ozzy in turn 1. Goes a little deep into it, or maybe Ozzy just braked that much earlier. He did just brake pretty early. Ozzy flashing his lights there. I don't know if maybe he just races with a controller. Ooh, touching through the chicane for both of these drivers. So very physical situation here. The replay between the two of them. Ozzy looks to make something happen in the chicane, and honestly, I just don't know why. It's just not. There are passing opportunities there. Oops, I didn't mean to replay that again. There are passing opportunities, perhaps, in the chicane, but only if someone messes up. You know, if no one messes up and you're just trying to go side by side through there, it's just slow and not really worth the attempt. You know, it would be better to just get a really good chicane and get a good run out of it, as you have a really long straight leading to the hairpin where you'll have a really good opportunity to pass no matter what the line is. So I just don't know if it was worth Ozzy trying to get alongside Tattoo Freak there, but you know, I'm not in the race. I can't tell people, you know, I can't teach racecraft from the commentary booth, I guess, but that does put Nux another 2 seconds ahead of this pack of cars here. Of course, for them, maybe they feel like this is the fight. There's no catching Nux, but you never know. Nux could have, you know, a moment with the sausage curb, right? And maybe it knocks 8 seconds off his time, but, you know, you're not going to be able to catch him because you're 12, 13 seconds back and getting further back because you're fighting more and more, right? You're losing those opportunities. And it's just, I think it's something that we probably need to work on in this division. We've seen a lot of people kind of shooting themselves in the foot, looking for a position very early on, or in a non-opportune time and place. Let me get off my soapbox, though. I commentate. I don't race. I just blah, blah, blah about it. Loudy's been having trouble all race. I haven't seen Loudy with clean air since the start of this race. He has just always been in it. I think the most peaceful time that he had was at the very beginning of the first stint when he was driving behind Tattooed and Nux. But of course that piece ended once Nux passed Tattooed, and then that turned into a fight. And now it's Ozzy in front of him. Excuse me. Did not get to the mute button before that sneeze happened. Loudy alongside Ozzy into turn 1. He's got a nose ahead of him, and I think he's got that pass made. Ozzy is looking to see if there was an opportunity in the chicane. I think not. So Loudy with the position there. And Ozzy's going to have to tuck in and accept the situation for now. Got Loudy looking defensive. Nope, doesn't defend into the hairpin, actually. Ozzy pokes his nose like he's going to make a move. Doesn't do it. So these two will follow through. Let's take a look at that pass from behind. Loudy got a good run in Ozzy's slip here, so he's able to get alongside him for turn 1. He's got the inside. Ozzy breaks a bit early. Not early enough to undercut, but definitely trying to hold on to his line. But Loudy able to keep momentum and his line on the inside there, and he gets the position as they head towards the chicane. Of course, that's Tattoo Freak behind them there. Ozzy looks to be very quick in the chicane compared to Tattoo Freak, and that could have just been a one-time thing. Maybe Tattoo with a small mistake in it, or maybe Loudy just shit. Either way, he's gotten himself past Ozzy. And now he's back with Tattoo Freak, who he's not been able to shake or stay past. Very hard to get past, for sure. He had a little talk, a one-sided talk. He asked Tattoo, are you okay? Just a few laps will go. A few laps before the pit window open, actually. Just checking on a friend there, right, Loudy? You okay, Tattooed? There's been a lot of touching, a lot of rubbing between those two. Chevy, not really in that fight anymore. He's 2 seconds behind Ozzy, but now he's looking at Scotty coming up on him. Scotty in that matching livery with Ozzy, of course. WTCC. Gorski alone as usual. Slappus not quite alone. Joey half a second behind him. So Joey has found somebody to race now. Robbo is in very last place by 35 seconds. So Robbo ending up far, far behind where he started. He's about to get lapped by Nux, actually. That's who we just saw in the camera. Ahead of Nux there is Robbo's car. Let's get back with our battle for second place. Tattoo leads Loudy, leads Ozzy. Here comes Loudy with another try up the inside of turn 1. This time it's Apex, and he actually gets well ahead of him. Tattoo Freak looks for an undercut. Doesn't happen. Loudy just had a really good line through there. Now Loudy into the chicane leading, and Tattooed is not going to challenge there. Ozzy, in fact, is maybe challenging Tattooed here. Get on his bumper, see what we can see. Plenty of room to the car behind. Chevy, it's 1.4 seconds is that gap now, though. It was 2 seconds last I checked. So they got slowed down a little bit by that pass there. Couldn't be helped, I don't think. I think that pass was as clean as it was going to be. Ozzy looks to the inside of this next corner. Again, just not really a great passing point. And, you know, he had the same moment with Chevy towards the beginning of the last stint. So Chevy was the one on the outside that time around. This time it's Ozzy. And don't really... I mean, you have the room to do it, right? But for a Tattooed Freak, it's difficult to go side by side there. It's slippery out there. You're carrying a lot of momentum. If you have the outside of that corner, you're pretty much on the outs. But Ozzy with a dive in a corner that typically doesn't really yield good passing results without contact. But I think the contact mostly came from Tattooed holding his line, from being honest there. So Ozzy past Tattooed Freak. Chevy chasing them with Scotty behind him. And now Tattooed is on the back foot. Oh! Dips the wheel outside of that curve. That's Ozzy. Tattooed did the same thing, but both of them survived. Gotta be careful. You saw just how wide that curve was. It's the width of the car, pretty much. Wow. Big bump there between Tattoo and Ozzy. Gotta say that definitely looked like something the stewards are going to frown upon. This is them coming out of the chicane. Behind them you see Chevy and Scotty doing something, but here Tattooed not really sure that we can say that was necessarily Tattoo's fault, but that second part was Ozzy hard on the brakes. Tattoo dove inside, but then Ozzy turned in very quickly there to try to cut off that dive. We're going to see it again here. But then Tattoo with an interesting decision to knock Ozzy completely off the line. But Ozzy, I would call that a block for Ozzy there. And then Tattoo with this wide line and tap through the hairpin. Ooh, the stewards are going to have a field day this week. Loudy, meanwhile, has now finally gotten away from all of that. He's 3.8 seconds away from Tattoo. It would take a lot for Tattoo to catch him now. Though, you know, it's 28 minutes left in the race, and it is only a 3.5 second deficit, but I think Loudy is fast enough that he can stay away from Tattoo. In fact, I can guarantee that Tattoo will be going very slowly if Ozzy catches up to him. Chevy is now between them, though. Ozzy losing that position to Chevy, but if Ozzy catches Tattoo, I get the feeling that they'll be slowing one another down. That's just my prediction. Well, I guess we don't really have too many more battles now. Ozzy is... Did Chevy give Ozzy the position back? What just happened? Wasn't Chevy just ahead of him? Or was I tripping over what else? Maybe I was tripping over what else. I wasn't tripping. I guess you just missed whatever happened there. Ozzy is second away from Tattoo Free. And that might also be Chevy giving a position back to Ozzy. Unless I misinterpreted what I saw here. Ando says, this is just really unacceptable from Apex. It seems to be seeing red mist every time he gets overtaken. Yeah, we've definitely seen some questionable stuff. Of course, it's easier to assess something in retrospect, easier than in the moment. Robbo has parked it. He's got a bit of damage, but he's not fixing it. I think that's the end of the race for Robbo. He's opting to sit in the pits. In fact, he's 2 minutes behind Nux, our leader of the race here. So I think that's a retirement from Robbo, and good on him for staying in the pits instead of leaving the room, because that tends to cause a big lag spike. Kind of a weird thing. Chevy in a WTCC sandwich. Ozzy ahead. Scotty behind. Slappis has the same livery too, right? Yes. Okay, that's what I thought. 3 matching liveries, and Chevy in a sandwich between the 2 of them. All alone in that beautiful bronze, actually. Honda. I love that color. It's classy. I like a classy metallic brown bronze. You know, I think it works. Loudy's maintaining that gap to Tattoo Free, 3.8 seconds. So not losing time. Maybe not in danger of getting caught back up into a battle, but we'll see. Tattoo Free does have breathing room. He's not in a battle either, so really it's going to be a matter of pace. Tattoo with a 31.5 his last lap, and that's his fastest so far. Loudy's fastest so far was a 30.9 that he did a few laps ago. He's got some 31.4, so he might have pace on Tattoo. It's not a lot. It's not a whole lot. So we'll see what happens between these two. That camera angle really shows the elevation change down into the quad corner. Let's see if we can catch it again with the Gorski heading towards it now. Don't really notice from in the car, but yeah, that's a big drop from there into the quad right. Tricky braking for that, because you think you can take it faster than you can, but you'll end up on the outside in that red stuff very quickly, and the red stuff is promising. You don't want to be in it. Ozzy isn't really catching up to Tattoo Freak. I'm sure he wants to, and I'm sure Tattoo wants him not to. In fact, why don't we go in the car with Ozzy? There's not much else going on track, so we might as well take a little bit of time from his perspective as he chases that car just ahead of him down. Careful. careful, you know, those big old curves there. It's scary. A little bit of understeer in the quad right, but he catches it. Gets the next corners right. But he does lose a little bit of time to Tattoo there. You see Ozzy trying hard to get up there. And I think, just looking at his movements, I think Ozzy drives on a controller. And so, he's doing a great job staying at the front of this race. There are lots of fast controller drivers in this game, for sure. I raced on a controller for years and years and years, but it is its own skill set, let me tell you, because it's not like a wheel. You know, a wheel, even these toy wheels have, let me see, I'm sitting in front of mine, you have 1.5 turns lock to lock, so 3 full turns lock to lock, actually. A controller, you only have a few millimeters to either direction when you're steering and the like, so you really have to be pinpoint precise. You learn some fine motor skills in your thumbs and your fingers, your trigger fingers, as you also control the throttle and the brake with the trigger if you're smart. There are other controller layouts you can use, but none of them are as good as using the triggers for throttle and brake. But all of it takes a lot of finesse and fine movements to keep a car on track and be fast on the controller. So well done to Ozzy there, because that's definitely a skill that I've lost. I've noticed every time I jump on a controller, I can't turn without sliding. I don't remember how to be smooth on a controller. It took me years to get there though, so I get it. What have we got? Is anybody else chasing anybody else? Nope. No one. Loudy is a little bit closer to Nux. It's still about a 13-second gap. So it's not like he's eating chunks of time out of him. It's a couple of tenths. So not sure how that will change or if it will change. And it might. Loudy might be choosing to, Nux might be choosing to save fuel. He did underfuel compared to most other drivers, so he may be slowing down as he saves that fuel. We've got a couple people who are actually in fuel trouble, and I don't know if maybe something happened in the pits and they got booted before they got enough fuel in the car, or they hit the button, but I can't tell you who. But towards the end of the race, well, I'm going to tell you right now, somebody's going to pit. They're not going to make it on the fuel they have, but there may be others that you will see start to slow down drastically as they try to get to the finish of this race here without having to take another pit stop. As I said in the beginning of the race, you can't pit in the middle of the race, or any time for fuel and tires outside of the pit window. So pitting out of it is a penalty. If you pit for damage, you don't get a penalty. But of course, if you take fuel and tires, you can pit stop. I think it's a 1-minute assessment for each. See, Ozzy is still chasing Tattoo Freak down. Still trying to make his way up there. Maybe get some revenge for what he probably feels like it was an unfair pass. You know what? I think the accordioning in the gap between Nux and Loudy, just looking at it and where they're closer and when they're further, I think it's just that. Just some accordioning between them as one is faster in one section than the other. Ozzy now much closer to Tattoo Freak. We'll go back in the car with him. Yeah, he's definitely a lot closer to him. Understeering behind him here in the quad right. Has to slow way down. As I said earlier in the race, you do lose time there for the most part if you're following someone just because of just understeer due to being in dirty air, being in slipstream. But then you start to catch back up in these next two straights as the car ahead of you punches a hole. in the ozone. Not the ozone, but punches a hole in the air ahead of you. But Ozzy's not going to be able to take advantage of that. He lost too much time, and he's out of slipstream range for Tattooed Freak. He's 1.1 seconds back. Slipstream is about 0.75. Is pushing it. Tattoo goes wide in turn 1, though. He's going to have to be a bit slower through there. Or is he? No, he managed to carry a good amount of momentum through there. So Ozzy, a little bit squirrely, but catches up in the chicane a bit. It's interesting to watch, you know, cars go back and forth and then watch their gaps get bigger and smaller as you watch who's better in what section. You know, everyone's in the same exact car. There's no tuning allowed. Everyone started on the same tires, so everyone's on racing softs now. Got same tires, identical cars. It is all up to driver skill here. And you really get to, in races like this, you get to showcase where people are strong and where they're weak. I think it's safe to say Ozzy may be a little bit weak when following in dirty air. He's going to have to figure that out, start tucking in those corners a bit earlier because Tattoo Freak's going to drive away from him. Gets a better run through the quad right this time, though. So, Ozzy, can you get close enough to be in slip for the start-finish straight? Ooh, no. He ends up overcorrecting in that first turn. I think he was headed towards the apex too soon. Saw him flick the wheel to the right, and that ended up making him go wide, actually. So, he loses another 3/10 to Tattoo. 3/10 he just gained, quite frankly. So, it all nets out, I suppose. Scotty's car. Well, you know. Ooh, Joey carrying lots of damage here. Front damage, front left, front right. So, must have had a direct hit, a head-on hit. And he's gonna pit for damage, so it must have just happened. He's gonna pit to fix that. Joey not having a great race at all here. And in this part of the league, you know, Division 2, Division 1, definitely you want to practice. You can't come into the race having not practiced all week. These drivers will run away from you, especially if you're not able to stay consistent on the track. That gap to Nux has definitely gotten a little smaller, half a second smaller. It's 12.5 seconds now. So Loudy getting a little bit closer, but it's not big enough of a change. We've got 15 minutes left in the race, and again, I really think that might be due to Nux saving fuel as he underfueled compared to everyone else. Almost everyone else. Uh-oh, that's my controller on the floor. Getting hurt, you okay, controller? Yeah, he's alright. Getting pretty close to crunch time, and really, this is the only battle. Ozzy versus Tattooed Freak. It's been boiling. Ozzy keeps getting closer. He's better than Tattooed in a couple of spots. The chicane is one. I think maybe even coming into the hairpin, he's faster. But then Tattooed runs away from him towards the end of the circuit, towards the last couple of sectors there. So Ozzy's going to have to figure out where he's losing time and maybe do better, or hope that Tattooed Freak makes a mistake in one of the sectors where he's stronger. Yep, again, a half second gained by Tattooed Freak by the end of the quad right. Ozzy with a wide line through the last couple of corners, looking to get as good a run out of the back, the last corner as he can, and it works. I mean, he is eating time out of Tattoo by chunks. It's not going to be enough to make a move. It's enough to get him close to Tattooed's slipstream, but not quite in it. But again, this really isn't the part of the track where you want to be in it. but maybe at the end of the chicane, maybe he'll gain enough time to get in it for that back straight. Yep, eats a 10th out of Tattooed right there in the chicane as expected, and now he is in Tattooed slipstream. He's not going to be close enough to make a move in the hairpin, but he's got to figure out a way to stay in this from the hairpin and through the end of the lap. This is the part where he's weak in comparison to Tattooed Freak. It is hard to follow here in Dirty Air, but he's got to do things like turn in sooner and stay out of Tattooed's slipstream there. That was a pass. I think Tattooed really messed up there, and Ozzy was able to take advantage. Let's watch that happen again. What happened there? Tattooed looking for a wide line to get into the corner, and Ozzy just muscles his way through. Not that surprising considering the last lap that Tattooed had against him, the last pass rather, that Tattooed had against him there. But Tattooed probably should have seen that coming. Also taking that wide line into that corner. It is the right racing line, but you do give the car behind you an opportunity to get their whole car right in there. And if there's a tap, you're thrown off the line really badly for the next one. So Ozzy back into third place ahead of Tattooed Freak. Tattooed Freak not going to give it up, and he bumps Ozzy hard into the hairpin and into the chicane rather, and that messes himself up really badly, sitting on damage. Chevy is going to pass, and I would say that Tattooed maybe did that to himself there, but we'll watch it back, see what happened here. Gets a better run out of turn one than Ozzy for sure. Oh yeah, fully dives in for the chicane. Jesus. Well, that's all she wrote. Damage front left and the front bumper for Tattooed Freak. But now both Loudy and Ozzy have gotten past him. Not sure if he's going to try to get around Chevy here, or if he's going to pit. We'll stay with him as he gets to the end of this lap. But Tattooed really having some moments in this race here that I think the stewards are really going to take a close look at the situation in this race here. Let's see, last couple of corners. Is Tattooed going to pit, or are we going to see some fighting against Chevy here? He's looking to the inside. He's going to pit in and fix that damage on his Honda. And so that's the end of Tattooed's fight here. This is Igorski passing whom? Scotty? Yes. So, you know what? We got 10 minutes left in the race. I'm gonna show it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. As soon as I'm done here. See Igorski easily making a pass there, and that's because Scotty is fuel saving like hell. Probably is even in map 5. You can see right here, he's out of fuel and he's got 10 minutes left in the race to go. So Scotty is going to have to pit. He's going to have to eat a 1-minute penalty, or just not finish the race and coast around, which will lose him even more time. So he is going to lose out. Joey Cannoli is in the pits as well and not fixing his car. Robbo was sitting there for a while, if you recall. I didn't even realize Robbo came back out on track, but he's 5-6 minutes back from Nux, so must have had a long break, maybe a bathroom break there. Joey might be on the same, or maybe Joey has retired it. Who knows? Nux still leads the race by 12.3 seconds over Loudy here. So Nux definitely slowing down, trying to save that gas. As you see, he's got less than a quarter tank left here, but he's built himself a nice gap that he can afford to slow down and save fuel towards the end of the race here, which I think was probably his plan the whole time, since he did fuel very short. I think everyone else took 100% fuel, or almost everyone else, and Nux took more like 75% fuel, if I recall correctly, coming out of the pits there. Loudy maybe senses that he's getting closer. 11.5 seconds is that gap, and he's got a good amount of fuel left in that car, so he really has no reason to try and save. He can try and see if he can catch up to Nux. Of course, he's not going to know what Nux's fuel situation is, but he is going to notice that gap getting smaller, and he's probably going to guess, okay, fuel, you know, push it here. Maybe you can catch him. We've seen people lose a position due to running out of fuel at the end of the race. It would not be unheard of, and Loudy would love first place points here for sure, as he is chasing Nux for the championship. Of course, if Nux gets second place, that's still a whole lot of points. But it'll only put Loudy 1 point closer to him instead of many, many. Whoa, wait a minute. When did Chevy get past Ozzy? Chevy's now in third place. Ozzy, we missed whatever happened. I'm sorry, I didn't even pay attention. But Ozzy down in fourth, behind Chevy by 5.6 seconds, and he's got damage front, left, and his front splitter also damaged. So he loses that position to Chevy, and you see he's having trouble keeping it straight down the back straight. Again, he's on a controller, but he's not pitting, and I didn't think he would. If he pits to fix that damage, Tattoo Freak gets back ahead of him. He's 8.4 seconds behind. So Ozzy is going to fight this car for the next 7 minutes. You can see him literally fighting the thing to keep it heading in the right direction, so he can stay ahead of Tattoo Freak. You can see all these minute inputs he's putting in. It looks like it's pulling to the right on him for sure. He's leaning the wheel a little bit left to try to keep that car straight. It's going to be hard, and hopefully it doesn't push him to where he loses the car completely as we get to the back of the race here. This is definitely going to slow him down. He's going to lose time to Tattoo, as the car isn't handling well for him, as he is fighting it. He's losing time now, as we can see, but there's 6 minutes left, and he's probably thinking maybe I can stay in it and defend, but slow corners like this are not going to help him at all. And he immediately loses several tenths to Tattoo Freak in the quad right. Almost a second loss there, so he's going to want to take a decision here. I think if it comes to a battle between him and Tattoo, he would lose it. But again, he's not going to pit. He's going to hold on to it. He's going to try to hold on to it, rather. It is easier to defend than it is to pass. He recognizes if he pits, he's going to have to try to pass Tattoo Freak if he can even catch up to him. So it looks like he's going to try his hand at defending this. Won't be easy to defend with the car acting like this. It certainly won't be easy to defend when you know your opponent is being very aggressive. Both these drivers are pretty aggressive. That gap now 5.6 seconds. So Tattoo, well, back to 6, because Hypnotic is still better than Tattoo in the chicane. But Tattoo has to notice that that gap is getting smaller, and he's got 5 minutes to try to take advantage of that. Just a couple of laps left here, and if Ozzy can keep the gap from falling 1 second a lap, then he'll be okay. In fact, 1 second a lap is probably actually okay, but when he loses time, he does lose it in a very large chunk. It is like an entire second. It's not what you want. Up front, Chevy is 16.6 seconds behind Loudy, 6.8 behind Ozzy, so he's got third place pretty well in the bag. Not much of a chance at second, certainly not at first, short of a huge mistake by one of these two. Nux only 8.3 seconds ahead of Loudy, so Loudy has to know for sure this guy's out of fuel. There's 4 minutes left in the race. Nux is sitting on less than an eighth tank of gas. Definitely gonna be hard for him to finish it. We will see at least 3 more laps here, as we're about at the halfway mark of this lap with 4 minutes left. It's a minute and a half around this track. You do the math. So Loudy sees an opportunity and is gonna try to jump on it. Ozzy, meanwhile, doing okay, still hanging on to it against Tattoo Freak. 5.5 seconds after the chicane here. Tattoo is definitely catching Ozzy in different parts of the track, but Ozzy, if he can keep it at this pace and doesn't lose it, I think he's going to be okay. But yeah, all that twitching about is making me a little bit nervous. I remember what it's like to drive on a controller with damage. It's weird, and you know, there's no force feedback with the controller either, so you know the car is pulling on you. It's pulling right or it's pulling left, but it's hard to get a gauge, a consistent gauge on how much it's going to pull, because you don't have much of a feeling like you would in a real car with a wheel, where you can feel the force of that pull and counteract it accordingly. 7 seconds, 2 Nux, 4 Loudy, 2.43, 2 minutes 40 seconds left in the race. Nux is almost at the hairpin. We will see at least one more lap, definitely, when he finishes this one. If he finishes this one in less than a minute, we'll see another lap beyond that. And if I'm Nux, I'm going to sandbag it just a little bit here to make sure I cross the start-finish line here with less than 1 minute, 31, 32 seconds, whatever it is, just in an attempt not to have to take an extra lap around this track, because I don't think he's got it for another 2 laps. Another 1 lap, sure, but 2, absolutely not. And he's coming against the last 2 corners here, man, with 20 seconds that he's got to eat here before the start finish, and it's gonna be hard. Does he slow down and try to do it? I don't think he's gonna do it. He's gonna have 2 more laps. Yeah, he's about to cross that line right now. Boop. Yep, it'll be close. He finished that lap at 1:30, a minute 33 seconds, and there was a minute 34 seconds remaining. So if he can just lose a second this lap, which I think he will not cross the start-finish line before the race is over. So he won't have to take that next lap. So maybe he did slow down just enough to ensure that. Loudy, 5.3 seconds. I think he knows. But if Nux completely runs out, Loudy has a chance. Loudy has a chance. Ozzy, 2.9 seconds in front of Tattooed Freak here. Only 1 more lap left. He definitely will take the checkered flag on start finish, on the cross to start finish. It's just a matter of him holding on to it and making it happen. He gets to the chicane. That, as usual, gives him a little bit more breathing room to Tattooed Freak. He's coming up on the part of the track where Tattoo was better than him even without the damage. And now he's got damage. He's also low on fuel. Not that low, not as bad as Nux, but he does stand to lose some time. Nux has managed to hold on to his gap against Loudy. It's 5.3 seconds, and he's into the last couple of corners here, and I think he's going to coast to that win so he doesn't cross the line before the 0-0. Nope. Wow, Nux doesn't care. Nux crosses the line for another lap. This is now his final lap. Loudy takes the checker. He has no chance at first place anymore. Nux is going to decide to just take the lap anyway. I guess that makes sense since Loudy is finished. It doesn't matter if Nux runs out of fuel. He's got first in the bag. I didn't really think about that. Since Loudy was so far behind, he definitely was going to have just that last lap. Ozzy is going across the line ahead of Tattoo, just ahead. Tattoo's half a second behind him. So Tattoo Freak does not get the position, but Ozzy very, very close to losing it there. Good job by him to know that he had no choice but to try to hang on to the car for the last 7 minutes of racing. Meanwhile, Slappis and Scotty are still going it for 7th place. Slappis is going to have a chance in the last couple of corners here. Does he try to make a move? Nope. I mean, they're matching liveries. I'm guessing they're teammates. Ooh, Scotty loses it a little bit. That lets Slappis on the inside. And Slappis with a nose ahead of Scotty. I think Slappis is going to get it there. Just barely. Yep. Photo finish. Scotty's going to be kicking himself there. Just a slight mistake as he came out of the first of the double lefts. There's Scotty up ahead there. Watch. Yeah, eats a bit of curb, gets on the throttle a bit soon. Kind of tank slaps on him a little bit. And Slappis just gets a better run out of the last corner. Wait. Okay, what I thought happened is not what happened. Ignore me. Ignore me. We're at the end of the race. Matching liveries throw me off every time. It doesn't matter. Photo finish for those two. We definitely saw some lifting there from Scotty. So Scotty lifting to let Slappis keep that. Joey opted to finish the race in the pits. And he won't officially finish until, I guess, this timer ends. This 50-second timer, I guess. But Nux with another win. Loudy close to getting it. And you have to wonder, if Loudy hadn't got stuck in all that fighting, would he have been able to get up and pass Nux? But then, maybe Nux would have taken a bit more fuel in his car anyway, just knowing that Loudy was coming. I guess we'll never know. But Loudy with a second place finish, his highest finish in a bit, actually, from what I recall. Chevy's going to take third in a surprising turn because Ozzy lost it. Ozzy fourth against Tattoo Freak. Of course, we'll have to see how this all ends up after stewarding this week, with Tattoo sitting in fifth place right now. Gorski took sixth, Slappis in seventh, Scotty in eighth, Robbo in ninth, and Joey Cannoli finally takes the checker as the timer shuts down. Ooh, wow. So, a victory for Nux. An interesting race for almost everyone else. Again, the stewarding will be quite interesting for sure. For some reason, Loudy and Chevy are sitting in the interview room. But, you know, it is what it is. Uh-oh, they're in here, but my audio settings are different from what they should be. So I'm going to fix that real quick so I can say hi to everyone.
Hold on, Jimmy.
There it is. Couldn't find the right input. Chevy, third place. Can you? We didn't see how you passed Ozzy, but we're assuming something happened to Ozzy. What happened?
I believe he was in the dirt or something. He went into the sand.
Ah, gotcha, gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah. And did he have damage? I thought he had damage too.
I think he had a little damage after it, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he did, and he didn't fix it. But you had a pretty good race. I mean, you led most of the first stint. Did you lead the whole first stint?
Yeah, I don't know. The mediums worked really good for me, but the softs, I just couldn't handle them. They wouldn't work for me at all.
I mean, I wouldn't say that you did too bad on the softs, considering you got back up to third place on them. To not lose Listen, to start at the front of the race, right, indicating, hey, you're a little bit slower, right? You had slowest lap last race, and to stay up there is no small feat, and it's happened very rarely this season. So great job.
Very good race.
Absolutely. Loudy, man, your race was a struggle up until like the last half of the second stint. Um, I'm just gonna let you talk. Just what happened?
Gee, I don't know. It was like it was hard fought. It was a really hard race, and for the most part, it was clean. There was a lot of tagging into corners and running a little bit wide, so I sort of just had to bide my time almost and wait for those in front to fight amongst themselves, and then I slipped past and away I went.
Yeah, looks like that's pretty much all you could do. Saw you having a lot of trouble putting Tattooed Freak away. Um,
Mm.
Toward well, the first stint and the second stint, really. I know there's kind of a moratorium on talking about race incidents sometimes, but we're messy here in the interview room. Tell us what happened.
Uh, I think as diplomatically as possible, I reckon the stewards are going to have an interesting week this week. I'll leave it at
I would agree. That's about what I said as
that.
well. I don't think Nux ever joined, so can't really talk to him. But of course, not
No,
much to say there. I mean, it
he's
was a very typical Nux race. Save
yes.
fuel, not fight, cooperate towards the front. At some point, recognize that the last car in front of you is making you lose time. Pass that car, get up to the front. Save
Yeah, although
fuel
I noticed that he
and
was
build a huge gap in the pits, basically.
yeah, I think he was running out of fuel towards the end though, because
Oh, he
I
definitely
mean, I was
was.
catching him. Yeah, I was catching him by a second a lap, and I'm sort of, I'm a bit upset that, well, not upset, but a little bit annoyed that I crossed the line with, just over the time limit remaining. It could have been interesting. Of course, he could have just been toying with me as well, and then burns me by a second a lap as he normally does anyway. So
He definitely was running out of fuel towards the end. He had fueled very short, actually.
mm,
In the not very, but like everyone else took around 100%, and he was hovering around 70 to 75. Um,
yeah,
but so I figured that with the gap he'd built, maybe he figured he could just kind of coast to the end of the race, which he did. I mean, it it was funny when he crossed the line the last time. I said, well, why did he just shoot himself in the foot? Because now he's got to take another lap. But I guess he realized you were so far behind that you would take the checkered flag, and it wouldn't matter if he ran out of fuel or not. He still had first, and that was
yeah,
guaranteed. Um,
yeah, only just.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, yeah, even though he underfueled and was fuel saving at the end, he still set purple by 5/10. So there you go.
he did. He did. Because of course he did. Chevy, sorry.
Yeah.
Apparently I forgot to unmute the chat sound when I asked you questions about your race. But I think you guys got the gist. You guys got the
Yeah.
gist.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, thank you so much for the two of you again. Great racing.
Yep. Good race.
Congratulations on sitting the podium
Yeah,
again, Loudy, and you too, Chevy. First
thank you.
podium this year.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah, well done, mate.
All right. Thank you. All
Of course. See y'all
right.
in Discord.
Easy done.
All right.
Thanks, Sadie.
Bye.
All right, y'all. That is the end of the interview cycle here. Let's see. What have we got as far as our calendar moving forward? Two more rounds. Just two more. Nürburgring GP next week in the BMW M4 GT4. It's a great car around there. Great track, period. And then, of course, we have the RSO1 at Circuit de la Sarthe, a.k.a. Le Mans, a French car for a French track. Very fitting. And so I end it here. We'll see you all next week. Thank you again for coming. Love doing this, and I can't believe we're coming to the end of the season. But of course, we'll have another season coming soon in Gran Turismo 7, so keep an eye out for that.